I am going to paint this very in the night sky landscape, which is has a very straightforward layout and perspective. So it's just I'm drawing it like a straight one point where the moon is on the top side and it's very big, and the rest and the foreground is consists of all the is the grass, and the mid ground we have the bush of leaves, and on the background we have the clouds, the moon and the stars. Let's start to paint this this painting. So first I start out with the horizon line, and I start to paint a different shades of green. So first is the dark, is from a dark green to a much lighter tone of green. I think it's more of a tint, and I start to draw paint the edges to give it a contour of a grass shape. And I think I'm going to replace the yellow color to a much more blue color, and now I'm painting with an airbrush a gradient of a blue sky. So I repaint the yellow grass to about somewhat green color grass, and I'm continue to paint the bushes for the mid ground, and I add in the shadows, lights and highlights. Now I am painting the clouds. I put in the base color for about blue color, and then I go about with the darker shade of blue, and then I try to mix with a different, and then now I'm painting the lights, the lighter color on top of the clouds. And I'm going to continue to draw the clouds on the back end clouds. So I paint in the darker toned, continue to paint in the light toned, lighter color, and I try to blend it a little bit. So I reshape the color a bit, the clouds a bit more, and for the left cloud I make it a bit smaller, and I resize it to position a bit to the left side. And now I'm continuing to paint the highlights for the clouds that appear on the bottom side, and I try to add a little bit of different blue hues for the clouds, and I'm trying to completing the highlights for the clouds. In this tiny cloud here, I'm just repainting it to make the clouds that appear on the far side of the background. So this cloud is at the back of the scene, and I hide the cloud layer, and I put in some stars. Continue to make the stars glow using the add blend mode. Now then, I hide the stars and continue to make the moon shape. I try to make a gradient moon for the color, so that's dark, and then I try to add in some textures for the moon, and I also make sure the texture does not have any sharp edge, and I'm continue to duplicate the moon, and then I make it to glow, and I try for the moon I try to use a egg brush to make the to make a to make a glow on the back of the side of the moon. And I going to draw these clouds highlights. I'm going to make the clouds highlights, and this is my final painting.